decided not to have classes because, some students won't understand, even when you're trying to come up with classes, even when it's not convenient. Yeah, so I decided that other tutors should take the class. I think that's will be better rather than me trying to force myself. Even when you try to force yourself, some students will still make nasty statements. So it's better you just free yourself from such embarrassments. Yeah. So you're welcome to class again. To me, we will not be moving very fast as expected. Yes. But all I'll do is I'll make sure I do recordings of every topic we're expected to cover, the ones we'll cover here, and also the ones I'll be able to treat with you personally. Yes, even the ones other tutors will come up with on my own YouTube page. You can always access most of these topics, like linear programming. For those following me on my YouTube page, you will have seen a video on linear programming where I discuss these concepts of linear programming. Yes. So tonight we're going to talk about it again in this class. We're going to discuss linear programming. Please get your book, your notebook. Some of you, I know you are using jotter, those wedding jotters they give to you in those wedding fatia. Get a good book. Yes, don't undermine these. Yes, get a good writing material. As accountants, some of you like to manage your resources. But when it comes to ITA exams, give it all it takes. So that you forget about this aspect of your life. Writing the exams is something else, so you have to give it all. I'm just winding away time trying to forward the YouTube link to the various platforms. Because I'm saying you should get your writing materials because you'll be solving a question in the course of this class. You'll be solving a question in the course of this class. So if you think you are just here to listen, no, you also solve. So I'll be doing the explanation. As I do the explanation, I solve an example. When we have time, you also solve one. Yes. Then I will now refer you to the Pathfinder, where we have questions on linear programming. As a matter of fact, it was tested last diet. Yes, it's even a repeated question. I think from 2023, it was repeated again. Its last diet. Some people will say it has been tested in May. It won't come out again in November. It's good you grasp the knowledge well. It can come in different ways. And to your surprise, a question can still be repeated. So let's do our best. Let's give it our best. Yes, linear programming is a topic that some people usually think it's difficult. Well, it's not difficult. Yeah, somebody will say, you always say it's not difficult. Yes, it is. Yeah, before I move further, I have quite a number of requests on the question on limiting factor. that is Kike Lomo. I've decided to solve it in my own way. I will. Some people said I should come and solve in class. I have my timetable. Yes, I don't just come to solve questions like that. Yes, if not, we'll not move. We'll not move. So I've solved the question using my own approach. Using my own approach, I'll do a voice. I'll give it a voice. I'll do a video of this and forward. I'll upload on my channel. Yes, because quite a number of persons will find it difficult to determine certain variables in the course of the question. So I've put forth a note on that and a solution to that anybody that is watching should be able to understand what is happening with Kike Lomo. That is a question number 1. Which diet is that? Question number 1, 2021. Yes, a question on limiting factor. So I've decided to break it down because I can't be attending to everybody one after the other. So hence, I decided to solve. So I believe the YouTube link is on all the groups now. Let me see, PM2, not yet there. All right, I think we are good to go now. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, fine. Yes. So once again, you are welcome to class. I believe you are reading as expected. Yes. So tonight we'll talk about linear programming. Linear programming. Yes. Don't be scared about the word programming. In our country, you are not expected to use the system to perform the programming when it comes to these exams. Yeah, it is certain exams. Yes, you'll be required to use the system to determine your programming. But for this, just for you to understand the concept, the steps involved in solving linear programming, and you'll be fine. The question now is, what is linear programming? What is linear programming? I advise you to get your writing materials. Yes, I have my slide, but sometimes I go off slide. Yes, I might not speak to my slide as expected. Yes, I might just say certain things off the slide. So the point is this: what is linear programming? What is linear programming? Linear programming is a mathematical technique that is used to find the best possible outcome. To find the best possible outcome. Yes, in my last interaction with us, I talked about limiting factor, single limiting factor. In a question, you have single limiting factor. But where you have more than one limiting factor, the best approach is to adopt the linear programming techniques. Please, you can off your video so that I won't be distracted. Thank you very much. So I said linear programming is a mathematical technique used to find the best possible outcome. Yes, the outcome in this regard can be you maximizing profit or minimizing cost. Yes, as a business person, as a manager, the outcome when it comes to linear programming in terms of trying to manage your resources can be in terms of you maximizing profit or minimizing cost. And this will set in when there are limited resources. When there are limited resources. So the word linear, some of us might have been hearing linear, even right from secondary school days, but you've not taken your time to phantom what linear is. Linear simply means relationship that results into straight line. Yes, it is called linear because all equations, yes, you'll be formulating inequalities will result into equation. All relationship within the context of linear programming is expected to be a straight line. Is expected to be a straight line, and that is why it is as linear. And it is time, please. If your mic is you don't need to on your mic, please. I don't want distractions. Just let me flow. Yes, you don't need to on your mic. Just just off your mics, please. Mute yourself. Yes, just mute yourself. If you are missing anything, you can watch the video again. Yes. So I said it is linear because all equations or relationship are straight line. Hence, it will result into a linear relationship. And it is called programming because of what? Because it's a systematic plan to allocate resources optimally. Now, I've said earlier on that in the context of this exam, you are not expected to use any software, any computing skills to determine your programming. Yes, just what you need to do is to understand the basic steps for you to formulate a linear programming model and solve using your pen and paper. Now, from this slide, I put that linear programming may be described as a mathematical modeling approach designed specifically to allocate the available limited resources of an organization among the various competing product lines in order to achieve the economic objective of the organization under a multiple constraint situation. That is where you have more than one constraint, where labor is not the constraint, where labor and material can be the constraint, where labor, material, time, hours can be the constraint. You use linear programming. Now, the key concepts when you talk about linear programming, there are key concepts you must have at your fingertip. There are key concepts you must have at your fingertip. You must be able to know what are the variables. What are the variables in the question? Once you are served with a question, you need to be able to bring out the variables in the question. This skill is very important. Please, you can off your video. Yes, on the raw, I'm on the live platform, so I'm seeing your video. I'm not on my worksheet, so I'm getting some distractions. Yes, if that I'm solving now, I will not be on the live page. So since I'm still explaining, just put off your video, please. So talking about linear programming, so there are various key components that you must have at your fingertip. Once you are served with a question, there are things you need to look out for. Your decision variables. These are the unknowns that you want to determine. The unknowns can be in form of number of units of each product to produce. You can have product A, product B, product C. Yes, I know I can mute everyone. This Google Meet subscription does not have that facility to mute everyone and to off everyone's video. Yes, this particular sub does not have that facility. So also another key variable you have to know is your objective function. And what is objective function? The objective function is an expression where you state whether you want to maximize contribution or you want to minimize cost. And over time, we've been able to establish that for you to determine contribution, it is your selling price less what variable cost. So once you are served with a question on linear programming, look out for your variable cost. look out for the selling price so you can determine your contribution. Your contribution will be what you will use to express your objective function. If you have a contribution, it shows you are to maximize. If you have a loss, it shows you are to minimize cost. So that as you minimize costs, you move to the point of making profits. So the higher the costs you are incurring, the likelihood of you experiencing loss. So as you try to minimize your cost, hence you move towards making profits. You move towards making profit. So you must be able to know your decision variables, that is the unknowns that you want to determine, and you must be able to determine your objective function. Your objective function. Once you determine your objective function, you have to link your objective function to constraints that might want to inhibit you or limit you from achieving your objective functions. So talking about constraints, we're talking about limitations. And what are the limitations you observe in a question? Limitation can be in form of machine hours. Limitation can be in form of material availability. Limitation can be in form of the budget. Yes, the budget. So constraints are factors that try to hinder the attainment of your objective. In a question, you must be able to determine that. When we're talking about limiting factor, I made mention that in a question, you can see the maximum material available. The material is limited to. Once you see these keywords, you should know that these are the constraints. Those words will lead you to know that these are the constraints in a question. Now, having determined a constraint in a question, you must be able to also give an expression that an organization, a firm, cannot produce anything less than zero. It means there's what we call non-negativity. Non-negativity. It simply implies that if you are producing product A cannot be less than zero. It's either you don't produce or you produce, but you cannot produce -1. You cannot produce -2. You cannot produce -3. That is the interpretation of non-negativity. It means your production can be greater than zero, but not what? Less than zero. Not less than zero. So these are some of the things you need to take notes of when solving linear programming. So formulation of linear programming model, I put them in an organized way that the fundamental steps in linear programming model is to establish the objective function. And that is to determine whether the objective is to maximize contribution or to minimize cost. So in practice, if the examiner confirms that the objective is to maximize profit, the word profit in that context will represent contribution. This is because linear programming represents an integral part of marginal costing. Yes, in marginal costing, you talk about contribution more instead of profit. So as such, profit element will be irrelevant in this type of decision model. And that is why we embrace contribution over profit in marginal costing. In marginal costing. So talking about steps in solving linear programming model, take note of these steps so that when we start solving, I won't get questions that how are we doing it this way? Even most of these I've explained, but in order to reiterate, for emphasis, I'll still talk about them. Write out these steps so that when I present a question, you follow the steps and arrive at your destination without any hitches. But when you try to jump the steps, you encounter some bottleneck on the way. So the first thing in trying to solve a linear programming question is for you to identify the objective function, and that is either you maximizing contribution or to minimize cost. And once you're talking about contribution, is for you to determine your selling price and determine your variable cost. The difference between the two is giving you a positive value, shows that you have to maximize contribution. But if your variable cost is greater than your selling um, price or your revenue, it shows that you're experiencing cost. The question is, what will you do? You have to minimize cost. Now, once you identify your objective function, you identify the various constraints that may limit the attainment of the established target. Your established target is your objective. Where are you heading to? What do you want to achieve? I want to maximize contribution. I want to minimize cost. Are there any constraints that will hinder me from attaining that? You identify them in a question. And such constraints can be in form of what? Labor hours. It can be in form of skilled, unskilled workers, availability in the organization, and so on and so forth. Once you identify the various constraints, express each of these constraints in the form of inequalities. In the form of inequalities. Now, when we talk about inequality, is an expression whereby you use symbols greater than or less than to identify the relationship between two variables. Now, when you talk about less than, they used to teach us those days that when you bend your is it your left hand now? Yes, the shoulder, when it faces the left hand side, it shows that is what is less than, because some people sometimes get confused. Where will greater than face? Where will less than face? So for you to know that your right hand, when you curve it, the 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 formulation it gives you shows that that is greater than. When you curve your left hand, it's telling you that that is less than. So in case sometimes you get confused on what is greater than and what is less than, you can just try to make it more practical to yourself so that you always remember and recall what less than is and what greater than is. So once you express each constraint in the form of inequalities, establish the concept of non-negativity at the end of the model formulation. Said non-negativity simply connotes the fact that you cannot produce 0 minus 1. You cannot produce minus 2 units, but you can decide not to produce, which is 0. And you can decide to produce any quantity that you've made plan to produce. But in your expression, if you have product A, B, it means A will be greater than 0, B will be greater than 0, but B cannot be less than 0, A cannot be less than 0. Now, once you establish the concept of non-negativity, some questions, take notes now, some questions will just require you to stop at that point. Some questions, where a question is telling you formulate linear programming model. Yes, such question will just want you to stop at that level. Why some question will want you to go further? Yes, by converting the inequalities into linear or simple equation. Now, when you convert the inequality into linear or simple equation, instead of having greater than or less than, you change the greater than or less than to equal sign. To equal sign. When you change those greater than or less than to equal sign, it now becomes what? An equation. It becomes an equation. So you can still further solve that equation by identifying each of the unknown variables in each equation. Now you can have, let's say, skilled, the constraint for skilled to be equation 1, for unskilled to be equation 2. Now in equation 1, you can have the value of x and y that is unknown. So you can move further to determine what the value of x is, what the value of y is in an equation. So once you determine the value of x and y in an equation, you can go further to represent those values in a graph. In a graph. Yes, you can express the various constraints on a linear graph. On a linear graph. So it means in a graph, you have points, you have your x-axis and your y-axis. It might not always be x-axis or y. You can say a-axis, b-axis. The point is you must be able to interpret your result. When x is 0, what is y? When y is 0, what is x? It can be when a is 0, what is b? When b is 0, what is a? So you must be able to plot each of these variables on a graph. Yes, you should be able to plot each of these variables on a graph. I know some of us might not be able to plot, but it is expected. Yes, in a class, you don't assume. You have to make sure you teach it as expected. But based on your residual knowledge, you are expected to know how to. Once you credit, you have C in mathematics. Yes, in your O level, you should be able to plot a graph. Yes, once you have C in your mathematics. But if you can't still plot a graph, no problem. We'll see how we help ourselves before the exams so that you can plot a graph. So express the various constraints on a linear graph. Identify the visible region among the various positions on the graph. This visible region, I will explain very well. I will explain very well so that I will not get, when I give you assignments, I will not get stories. I will not get stories. Yes. Because me, I don't like stories. I don't like stories. Yes. So when we talk about visible region, graph, whereby the lines, bondings of constraints, bonded by the lines of constraints. In a question, they might not give you the graph to determine the constraints, such as we have in the last diet question and in some diet past. They will ask you from the graph, determine the constraints. From the graph, determine the limiting factors. So the lines, let me use a graph to express that, to show that. Let me see. Okay, fine. I think everybody can see this now. You can see this now. This is a graph. This is a graph. Now, this visible region here is the region where we have limitations whereby we don't have sufficient resources to meet our demand. So the lines bounding this region, they are the lines of constraints. And how do you determine that line? Now, we have this line here facing 150 is point 0.1 of the visible region. We have intersection of two lines at this point. This intersection, we cannot clearly define what are the resources here, what are the limitations here. It means there is an intersection of two equations. It means for us to know the values of these points, let me term it point B, you must solve for two equations to be able to know what point B is. Now, what other point is bounding this visible region? Point C. You can see point C here is 150. This graph is not correct anyway. I hope I have another better one. But based on my explanation of visible region, it is correct. But by the time I want to use it to solve the question that is related to, there are some issues with it. For the visible region, we have points at 150 is A, at this point of intersection is B, at this point here is C, So this point that hovers around this point of visible region, it can be shaded. Yes, can be shaded. It's termed as the lines of constraints. And from point zero to this point is the visible region. Is the visible region. So if you are asked to determine what are these lines now, this line points at 150 here. What is this line here? What is this line here? At this point B, what are the two lines here that intersect? You need to know when you are given a question. At point C, you must know this point here. What is the resource that is limited, that you cannot, that is not sufficient for you to meet up with your production? You must know those lines. But we are not yet there. I'm just using this graph to explain. Time permits, we'll get there. If time didn't permit, I'll refer you to where you get you continue the studies. So now let's go back. I can see a hand being raised up. Please, what is your question? Can you put it on the chat box, please? Because if I should give you room now, I'll keep having questions. I don't want interruptions in my class. Put your questions in the chat box. Because by the time one person talk, another person will come up. Another person will come up. So I'm not interested in those interruptions for now. Put your question in the chat box. I'll respond to it. Yes. So solve the linear equation and identify the associated linear variables. If you don't know where the chat box is, there's a message icon. There's a message icon in your device.
I just realized I get class now. I never do.
Once you get contribution, you know you have to maximize. Once you get loss, you know you have to minimize. Yes, just responding to a question on the chat box. Yes, once you are seeing a loss, you know you have to minimize. I made that expression as I was trying to explain certain things. So you express the various constraints on a linear graph, identify the visible region among the various positions on the graph. A visible region among the various positions on the graph represent either the shaded or unshaded portion of the graph, which satisfy all the available constraints and also establish various product mix, among which is the optimal product mix. We're going to see more of this as we move on. So also, once you determine that, some questions can require you to prepare solution table for the purpose of analyzing contribution or total cost associated with each of the product mix within the visible region. And also, you can be asked to determine the optimal product mix from the solution table based on the highest contribution or lowest cost. So these are the steps. These are the steps we are to adhere to in trying to solve questions on linear programming. So now, let's take it further. Let's look at a question now. Let's see a question. Yes, can somebody read this, please?
The following information is in respect of three products, A, B, and C, manufactured by a company. We have product A, B, C. per unit is given in naira. Selling price for A is 75 naira, for B 60 naira, for C 80 naira. Cost as follows: direct materials for product A 24, product B 27, product C 36. Direct labor for product A 15, for B 20, and for C 30. Fixed overhead at the rate of 160% of labor cost: 24 for A, 32 for B, and 48 for C. Additional information there: all workers are paid at the rate of 2 naira 50 kobo per hour. All products used the same type of raw material, which costs 3 naira per kg. During this year, the company can procure a maximum of 12,000 kg of raw materials only, and has facilities to employ only 8,000 labor hours. The company wants to introduce linear programming techniques to ensure judicious allocation of the limited resources. Requirements: make necessary calculations and formulate the linear programming objective, function, and constraints to maximize the company's contribution margin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prince.
Welcome, sir.
So it's as if you should just keep reading and keep reading. Because I can see you stressing certain points on the question, and that is a very good one. I've decided to put some of these words in red to show that you need to look at them very well, and that is why I highlighted them in red, so that when you are reading questions, you read with good understanding. So we have this question before us that the company wants to introduce linear programming technique to ensure judicious allocation of the limited resources. And we are required to make necessary calculations and formulate linear programming objective, function, and constraints to maximize the company's contribution margin. And you see this question in the exams. I hope you will not say these people have come again. That is what most students will say. I want to kill somebody. Yes. Based on the steps we've highlighted, what do you need to do? What do you need to do? First, we need to determine if we are to maximize contribution or to minimize costs. From the variables given in the question, when you look at it clearly, what can you see? You can see 3 products, A, B, C. You are giving selling price, 75, 60, 80. You are giving cost, direct material, direct labor, fixed overhead, 160% of labor cost. Fixed overhead. You are giving all this, that all workers are paid at the rate of what? 2 naira 50 kobo per hour. All products use same type of raw material, which costs 3 naira per kg. During this year, that the company can procure a maximum. You can see that word maximum. It means the limit. Yes, the limit to what you can procure is 12,000 kg in terms of raw material, and has facilities to employ how many labor hours? 8,000. That is the maximum. You cannot go above that. The company wants to introduce linear programming. So the first thing you have to do is to determine your objective function. You ask yourself, what are they trying to ascertain? Now, looking at the variables you have in the question, how can you determine that? How can you determine that? Let's see how we can determine that. Let's see how we can determine that. Let's see how we can determine that. I believe you have the question. You can screenshot the question. Solution. Solution. We have this. Solution. We want to determine our contribution. Let's see. We want to determine our contribution. So we have three products. Product A, B, and C. Now, we have selling price given to us in the question. The selling price is what? For each of the products, A, 75, B, 60, C, what? 80. So we have it, selling price. Selling price for product A, 75, for B is what? 60, for C is what? Is 80. Now, we have cost. The cost. We have direct materials, we have direct labor. Now, selling price minus variable cost, we give you what? We give you what?
Contribution.
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 We now have our various costs. We have variable costs. We have variable cost. Now, under the variable cost, we have what? We have direct material. Direct material.
Right.
For product A, the value of direct material is 24, for B, 27, for C is 36. So we have it as 24, 27, and what? 36. What else? We have direct labor. Direct labor. For A is 15, for B is 20, for C is what? 30. I'm showing it this way.
What in November Kintoshe?
Please always learn to follow decorum. Please. It does not take anything to mute your mic. Please.
Madam, mute your mic now.
It's just simple instruction. You don't need to even just follow. You see, sometimes it's very difficult to direct labor. I'm showing all these, please, so that
20,
everybody will follow. Direct labor for A is 15,
20,
30. 30. You know, some people will come back and tell me, where did you get 15? I will answer you, but you are bringing us back. Yes. So that is why I'm showing it like I'm showing it to nursery one children. So please just follow so that you won't bring us back. So looking at this question now, is fixed overhead a variable cost? Even from the word, it is not.
No.
Because somebody will ask me, why are we not making use of this? It is not variable, it is fixed overhead. It's clearly defined. Yes, it is not even in a situation where you begin to think. If it is just let me say overhead, you can begin to think. You can begin to think. If it is just overhead, where it is not clearly defined as fixed overhead or variable overhead, then you can begin to think if there is element of fixed or variable in the overhead. If it is just stated overhead, and it is not defined, it is not definite in terms of fixed overhead or variable, then you can begin to, but they will not bring such in this situation. Yes, it is when you're trying to solve questions on budgets, then they'll begin to test your ability on that, on cost separation,
Okay. Yes, sir.
Madam Alabi, please mute your mic now. You are
Sir?
starting the class. You are
Sir,
starting the
please,
class.
I think,
Mute your mic.
sir, please, I think maybe you should mute everybody.
Yes, I said earlier on that this Google Meet subscription package does not have the facility to mute everybody. Yes, and it does not have that option. Yes, we have various forms of Google Meet, various forms of subscription. Yes, for this particular one, you cannot mute everybody. Yes, the one we use for revision class is different from this. That one you can mute everybody. I can have co-hosts. I can have I can do anything with that. But that one, it also has its own limitation. You cannot stream live with that one. So each of the package has their advantage and disadvantage. So because we are streaming live, we are going with this package of Google Meet. So that is why I can't mute everybody. Yes, it's just a simple instruction. Once you're in a meeting, just mute yourself. If you are not asked to talk, it does not take us anything, and we'll be fine. Because we don't have time. We don't have time. So if it is a few minutes to 9, I will stop so that SFM will use the facility. So that is it. So from this point now, you can determine your contribution. Contribution is selling price minus variable cost. Now, your selling price for A is 75. Your variable cost, direct material, direct labor, 24, 15 respectively. When you look for the difference, you're going to have a positive value, which shows its contribution. And the result is what? When you do plus and minus, you should have 36. For B, you should have what? 13. And for C, you should have what? 14. So with this now, we have to maximize contribution. We have to maximize contribution. Now, the question now is, looking at this question, what are the resources? What are the resources that are limited? What are those resources that are limited?
Material and labor.
Material and labor.
Fine. Material and labor. Material and labor. Now, in this question, have they given you the quantity of material per kg? Have they given you the quantity of material per kg?
No, they only give the total kg.
Yes,
Three naira per kg.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So the point is this. In this question, they've only given you the price per kg, but not the quantity you have to use to produce 1 unit of A. Now, you have direct material. You can see Naira sign here. It shows these values are what? Are all in Naira. Direct material. What you need, what you will spend, what you will incur on direct material to produce 1 unit of product A is what? In terms of direct material, 24 Naira. 24 Naira. One material costs how much? See it. All products use the same type of raw material, which costs what? 3 a kg. So how many kg will you use to produce product A? It will be 24 divided by 3. 24 divided by 3. This concept is very important. When you are solving questions on limiting factor, on linear programming, they'll always test you, even beyond these 2 topics. They'll always test you. But once you miss it at this point, the issue is just try to learn to interpret what does this variable connote. These are Naira in Nairas. They're also giving you the price per kg in Naira. How many kg do you need to produce A? It is 24 Naira divided by the price of 1 kg. Will tell you how much you spend or how much material you've used to produce A. Let's show it here. Let me show it. I will write it because I know it's not every one of us that is on the same page. Now, direct material. Let's write it. Direct material. Direct material. Quantity now, not in price. quantity. So now, for A, what will happen? Let me close this. For A, what will happen? You incur 24. How much is 1 kg? 3 naira. It is this. You say 24 divided by what? 3. How many kg do you use?
8 kg.
8 kg. For B, it is what? You incur what? 27. How much is 1? 3 naira.
9.
So you have it as what? 27 divided by 3 is equal to what?
9.
9.
For C, it will be what? Let's go there. 36
12.
divided by what? By 3. You have it as what? 12 kg. 36 divided by 3. It will give you what?
12 kg.
12 kg. So you've been able to determine the constraints per unit for material. Now the next is labor. That's what? Direct labor is what? For this is 15, for this is 20, for this is 18. And also we have what here? How much are we incurring? All workers are paid at the rate of what?
8 hours.
2 naira 50 kobo. 2 naira 50 kobo. So how many hours are we going to use to produce product A?
6.
divided by 2.5.
So let's go and show it. See it here. Direct labor. This is, yeah, incurring labor rate is 15 naira, right? 15 naira labor rate. And for you to, how much are you spending per hour? 2 naira 50 kobo. So how many hours do you need now? Let's now write direct labor hour. For A, it will be what? 15 divided by 2.5. 15, 2.5. You have it as what? 6 hours. You need 6 hours to produce 1 unit of A. For B, it will be what? 20 divided by what?
20 divided by 2.5.
The result will be what?
That will be
8 hours.
hours.
For C,
8 hours.
for C, it's 30 divided by 2.5. You have it
8
as what?
hours.
12 hours.
8 hours.
30 divided by 2.5 is 12 hours. 12 hours. So you've been able to show that these are the resources you need to produce 1 unit. You must always convert the resources or the resources to per unit to what you can use to produce 1 unit. Now, somebody will ask, what is this fixed overhead doing here? Fixed overhead, 160% of labor cost. 160% of labor cost. So what is fixed overhead doing there? Any use? Any use? When you see it, when you're in exam hall, you begin to ask yourself, right? What am I using this for? Isn't it? It's just there. You're not using it for anything. It's
So
so
to calculate the total value of the labor cost.
yes. So it's for this purpose, we are not using it. But how do you get labor cost? Yes, it's 160. Fixed overhead is 160% of labor cost. For you to get fixed overhead, 160% of your labor cost will give you this. Yes, so it's just there. Now, Having determined all this, we can now show our expression, our objective function. Objective function. The objective function will be what? Maximize contribution. Maximize contribution. And your contribution for A is what?
36.
36. You write it. It's just an expression. It's not any magic. You say 36A plus. For B, your contribution is what?
13.
13B.
You just write it. As simple as that. You have your 2 marks. Or is it 1 mark? You have 13B plus. Your contribution for C is what? 14C. As simple as that. When we're showing these steps, we say this contribution will be subject to what? When we're showing the steps, we said this contribution will be subject to what? The contribution constraints. I know I made emphasis on that. To be subject to constraints. So what are the constraints in the question? What are the constraints? What are the constraints?
Labor
Fine.
hour and the material.
Material and labor hours.
Labor hour.
So you've been able to determine the required quantity you need to produce each unit. But these quantities, they must not be greater. They can either be less than or equal to the maximum. The maximum quantity of material you can have is what?
12,000 kilograms.
It means when you add the material for A, for B, for C, it will either be less than or equal to what? 12,000 kg.
12,000.
But not greater than 12,000 kg. If you add the labor hours for A, B, C, it cannot be greater than 8,000 hours. It can rather be less than or equal to what? 8,000 hours. That is how you express, you show your constraints. That is how you show your constraints. So this contribution is subject to what? Subject to one. One of the constraints we said, let's say material. Material. Now, for A, you need how many units, how many kg to produce 1 unit of A?
8 kg.
So you write 8A. 8A
Plus
what? How many kg do you need for B?
9B.
Plus 9B
9B
plus 9B.
12C plus 12C.
plus 12C.
Yes, I want some people that didn't see it at first to see it. See it. 12 kg. You see it. 12C. So all these will either be less than
or equal to 12,000 kg. 12,000
kg. 12,000 kg. Less than or equal to 12,000 kg. That is how to show your expression, your constraint. That is for material. For labor, how many hours do you need to produce 1 unit of product?
6 hours.
6
6
How
hours.
many spread as what? 6A plus what? How many hours do you need?
8B.
8B.
8B. 8B
12C.
plus 12C.
12C.
Less
Plus
than equal
12.
to
12C.
8,000 hours.
Equal to
Less
8,000.
than or equal to 8,000 kg.
8,000 hours.
Hours. 8,000 hours.
So 8,000 hours. 8,000 hours. Now, having determined this now, what will be the next thing you have to do?
Non-negativity.
Establish the concept of non-negativity.
Good. Non-negativity. Non-negativity. We establish the concept of non-negativity. Now, the concept of non-negativity states what? Somebody should help me.
You can't produce anything less than
Constraint
0.
should be greater than or equals to 0.
You can't produce less than 0.
Yes. So yes, so it can be expressed in different ways depending on how you want to express it. It can be A. Some people can express as A, comma, product A, comma, product B, comma, product C is what will be greater than.
Greater than or equal to 0.
Yes, it can be greater than or equal to 0. You understand? Some
Yes,
persons, you can decide to express it this way. If you have time in the hall, A is greater than or equal to what? Or equal to 0, comma. If you want, it's still the same mark you get. You can decide to say B, because if you go to other study material, you can see it in different form. And if some persons will begin to wonder, but this is not how it was being put in class. Whichever way, you are correct. You are correct. So this can be this, can have comma, and it can be C. It's the same thing you've tried to put forth. So as far as this question is concerned, the question is telling us that we should do what? Make necessary calculations and formulate the linear programming objective function and constraint to maximize the company's contribution margin. As far as this question is concerned, this is where they want you to stop. That is this question. Some questions we want you to go further. The question requirements: make necessary calculations and formulate the linear programming objective function and constraint to maximize the company's contribution. That is where the question wants you to stop. Somebody will ask, can they ask this kind of question in the exam hall? I have a question for you. I have a question. You're going to solve now. You're going to solve now. It shouldn't take you 3 to 5 minutes. November 2017. Where is it? November 2017. Okay, let me share my slide. I think I'm not there. Let me share the slide. Let me share the slide. Present something else. Let me share the slide. Yes. What question is that now? Question 5. Yes, fine. Question 5. Can somebody read?
SK Holding Limited makes two products, donuts and meat pie, whose contribution margins are 100 naira and 115 per unit respectively. The production process passes through three machines, M1, M2 and M3, whose maximum available hours are 800 hours, 600 hours and 720 hours respectively. Donuts requires 8 hours, 10 hours and 4 hours on machine M1, M2 and M3 respectively per unit, while meat pie requires for every unit 10 hours, 6 hours and 12 hours on machine M1, M2, and M3 respectively. The period charge is 5,000 naira. Required: formulate the linear programming model. B. Discuss briefly the uses of linear programming in performance management and indicate whether there are any limitations in using this kind of model.
So, Ngwanu, what do they want us to do now? Can anybody interpret? Because for you to pass this course, you must be able to interpret questions to your own understanding. When you go to the hall that day, you take charge. You take charge. Yes. It is when you take charge, then you overcome. So nothing like fear. Yes, nothing like fear. But for you to overcome fear, you must know. It is when you know, then your level of confidence will increase. So somebody should interpret this question. What are the variables? Tell me the variables.
I interpret.
Very well, sir.
From this question, I can find out that we don't need to work our contribution like the last question. They've given us the contribution direct, and then we just need to go straight to the steps. That is all.
Okay. So in relation to this question, what are those constraints?
Hello, sir. Can I try?
Yes, sir. Very well, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I think based on this question now, we've been giving the contributions, which are 100 naira and 15 naira respectively for donuts and meat.
Yes,
so
sir.
we don't need to calculate the contribution. Then another thing is we
okay,
are having constraints.
Okay, sorry, sir. So how will you now express your contribution?
So the contribution will be to maximize the contribution now, which is 100 donuts plus 115 meat.
Okay. So you can decide to say, yes, you can decide to represent your donuts in form of maybe
with
A.
D and M.
Depending, yes, fine. Right on, sir.
Then the constraints now, we are having the machine. For machine A, we are having 800 hours. I mean machine 1. Then the machine 2, we are having 600. While the machine 3, we are having 720. Those are the constraints.
What is the definition of all these things you've put together, sir? 800 hours, 600 hours, 720 hours. What is the technical name you have to call it?
Oh, okay. Those are the subject to the constraint. These are the constraints. That's what I said earlier. That is the hours.
Direct labor hour. That's the labor hour.
All right. Sorry, Mr. Olafe is still having the floor. Yes. You can write on, sir.
So those are the constraints. And under them, we have for machine 1, which is under the donut 8 hours, and machine 2 under the donut 10 hours, machine 3 under the donut 4 hours. Then machine 1 under the meat 10 hours, machine 2 under meat 6 hours, and machine 3 under meat, which is 12 hours. So all these ones are less than equals to the constraints given in the question. And the non-negativity is going to be a donut, which is D, comma D less than comma M less than equals to 0. Greater than equals to 0. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. So that is just what let me show the solution. Yes, so it's not something something that this is just the preliminary. So I'll present another question now. that will take us further from these points. Yes, that will take us further to another level. Yes, but you must understand this basic. There is one thing, if you don't understand basic, don't just jump to questions in the Pathfinder. You just get frustrated. Yes, that is one thing with this course. You must know the basic. It is when you know the basic, you now go and carry Pathfinder and try to untie the knots. But once you don't know the basic, it will always be as if you want to climb the mountain that is higher than you. So always know the basic of every topic before just trying to pick questions in the Pathfinder. That is when you say the concept is hard, is this, is that. So you can see the solution now. You can see it. Is it far-fetched from what we've treated? It's not something ambiguous. It's very direct. It's in the Pathfinder. It's not I went to manufacture it from anywhere. You can see it's in the Pathfinder. They can still ask you, know it, know it. Yes. So the theory part, go and read it. I'm not talking about that part. So let me change my slide. Let me present another question now. Let me present another question. So let's see another question.
Sir, excuse me, I don't understand though. Sorry.
You don't understand what, please?
I don't understand this solution.
The solution of what?
Of this one that we just solved now.
Which one you just solved?
This last one.
The one in the Pathfinder?
Yes.
It's buttressing what we've solved in class. You go and check it and send me your solution. In NECA, right? I want to see your solution. Send it to me on my WhatsApp page. You go and solve it. Go and read it and solve it in NECA.
Sir, my hands have been up since it did not come.
I said, put your questions in the chat box. Yes. If you keep asking me questions, not do anything. So ask your question. If you want questions, ask your question. But if you put your question in the chat box, I will see it and respond to it without much ado. But if you think you want to talk, talk.
Okay, so my question is based on the first solution here. With this subject to something, subject to material, subject to labor, right? So I don't understand. You said 8 plus 9 plus 12. Then we're getting 12,000. How?
All right. That is fine. Please, did you join this class when we started?
Oh, no. I joined late. A bit
very
late.
Fine. Very fine. Yes, very fine. Please, once is my class, please. Once is my class. I don't joke with time. Yes. As at 6:40, I was online. Yes. Once is my class. Me, I don't joke with time.
The network keep throwing me out. So that's what
you go and watch the video again.
Oh God.
If you have any personal issue, you didn't get it when you watch the video again, call me. I'll explain to you.
Okay.
Yes, me, I will explain to you. I have your time, don't worry. But as far as this class is concerned, I make sure I move at a very slow pace. Yeah, so that everybody will catch everything we are doing. So that is why I'm surprised when you said less than or equal to 12,000 and the rest. So you watch the video again. If you didn't get it, send me a message on WhatsApp. I'll call you. If there's bad network on WhatsApp, on data, I'll call you with my money, with my airtime, don't worry. So, because if you join late, it's not good you take us back. No, it's not ideal. Yeah. If it's network.
No problem, it's fine. Thank you.
Fine, yeah. So can somebody read this question, please?
Yes.
Let me try.
Example, we have Express Nigeria PLC markets soup products which are produced in 3 successive departments. The contribution per unit of 2 products and the production capacity of the 3 departments are as follows. So we have unit contribution in Naira. For A, we have 6 Naira, and for B, we have 5 Naira. We have the machining department in hours. We have for A, 3 hours, B, 4 hours. Foundry departments, we have 2 hours and 1 hour. Painting department, we have 4 hours, 5 hours. A constraint of production is that each department has a limited number of hours available. For the forthcoming plan period as shown below, departments, we have the department, we have the machine, we have the foundry, we have the painting. So the available hours for machine is 600 hours. For foundry, we have 250 hours. For painting, we have 720 hours. Required. Formulate the linear programming problem for the above information, and 2, solve them graphically. Thank you.
All right, thank you very, very much. So this question is taking us further. It's taking us further from where we stopped in the first example. We'll be building up on previous knowledge. I can see a question on the chat box. Somebody is asking, for you that is just joining late. Yes, me, as a matter of principle, as I said, yes, for other lessons done so far, I will re-forward the YouTube videos that have been put together. Yes, I will re-forward after this class so that you watch, you follow, and you will be able to catch up. All you need to do is to give it your time, then you will catch up. I'm just responding to a question on the chat box. So if you have a question, put it on the chat box. It will pop up, I'll see it, and I'll respond to it. So looking at this question now, Express Nigerian PLC, market products. Market 2 products. The contribution per unit of the 2 products and the production capacity of the 3 departments as follows. The unit contribution is given. Now you have the contribution solved already here. You don't need to look for your selling price. You don't need to look for your variable cost. It's given to you free of charge. But where it is not given, you look at other variables. Do you have your selling price? Do you have your variable costs? The difference will give you your contribution. Now, in this question, we have machining department. We have hours. You can see in this case now, they're not giving you the values of hours in Naira. They are giving you the actual hours now. Unlike the first example we treated, you have to determine the hours by working back because you're giving the rate of hours for you to produce 1 unit. And the question for that tells you that the cost you pay per hour is this. So, but in this case, they've given you the values. Anytime you are solving questions, anything in brackets, take notes of it. Take notes of it. Take note of it. It shows that machining department to produce A, 4 hours to produce what? Products B. Product B. And for foundry departments, the hours is what? 2 hours. For B is what? Is 1 hour. For painting departments, the hours, you have 4 hours to produce 1 unit of product A and 5 hours to produce 1 unit of product B. That's all constraints on production is that a constraint on production is that each department has a limited number of hours available for the forthcoming plan period as shown below. It means no matter what you do in machining department, you cannot have above 600 hours. It means your limit is 600. You can have less than or equal to what? 600 for machining department. For foundry department, whatever you do, irrespective of the demand you have for your products in relation to your department, you cannot use more than 250 hours within that particular period of production. For painting departments, the maximum you have is 720 hours. It means this your constraint is limited to these available hours here, these available hours. The question is asking us to formulate the linear programming problem for the above information. The first step is what? The first step is what? What are we to do?
Objective function.
Formulate your objective function.
Solution. Solution. Formulate our objective function. That is the first step. Where the contribution is not given directly, you solve for the contribution. But where it is given to you directly, you don't have
Sorry, I'm not seeing your board. Okay. All right.
So formulation of linear programming model. Linear programming model. So the first step is our objective function. The objective function will be what's on the question. It shows that we are maximizing contribution.
To maximize contribution,
6A plus 5B. So the objective function is maximize.
Sir, you're no longer sharing your screen. Okay, it's visible now.
It's showing.
Maximize contribution, which will be equal to what? 6A
plus 5B.
Plus 5B. You have your mark there.
So
once is your contribution is subject to what?
Constraints.
Subject to constraints. And those constraints for each department, we have machining.
Machining the department hours.
We have machining departments
in hours.
Machining departments hours. Now, for product A, how many hours do we have? And product B?
3 hours. 4 hours.
4. This is subject to what? To the limit of what?
600 hours.
600
hours. So how will you write that now? It
less than equals to 600.
3A plus what?
Plus 4B.
4B less than or equal to 600 hours.
Yeah. Less than or equal to 600 hours. Equal to 600 hours. Machining departments. The next is foundry departments. So the hours we have 2A, 1B. Instead of writing 1B,
2A plus B.
So we have it as foundry departments. Foundry departments. We have it.
2A plus B
We have it as 2A plus
plus
B.
B less than or equal to, I think, 240.
250, right?
250. Yes.
250.
Less than equal to.
Yes. Somebody will be asking, why are we doing less than or equal to? It means no matter what you do, you cannot have access to 251 hours. You cannot have access to 252 hours. The limit you have, the maximum hours you have for this department is 250. When you want to go further to look at the effect of additional hours, then we introduce the concept of shadow pricing. That is, the shadow pricing is testing our understanding on the additional benefits or extra contribution that will be gained when you add one more unit of a scarce resource to an equation. We're going to see that time permits us. So we have 400 departments and we have what else again? Painting department. We have painting department. And times of hours, we have it
4 hours.
4A, 5B. So we have it
plus 5B
for A plus
720.
It's less than what? 720.
720.
So after doing all this, what will be the next thing?
Non-negativity.
Non-negativity.
Non-negativity. Non-negativity. So how do you express that? You have two products. It means
command B greater than equals to 0.
A, B cannot be. We cannot
greater
have.
Than.
Yes, it will always be greater than or equal to 0. It cannot be less than 0. It cannot be less than 0. That is the concept of non-negativity. That is the concept of non-negativity. The question is telling us to do something. Formulate the linear programming problem for the above information and solve them what? Graphically. Now, you've been able to formulate the problem. This is the problem. So for us to solve graphically, we move further by converting what? The inequality to what?
Equation.
Equality.
To equation. So this unequal sign we change to equal sign. So let's see that now. Graphical solution now. Graphical solution. The first, we have machining department. Machining department. When you change this to equal sign, you have it as this 3A plus 4B equal to. In this, for you to solve graphically, you must know what the value of A is. You must know what the value of B is. So now, everybody follow. If A is equal to 0, look at it. Let's put it here. I'll take my time here because some persons will tell me stories later. If A is 0, I've removed the A and replaced it with 0. What will be B? What will be B?
150.
Fine. 150. Let's do it. Let's show it gradually. Let's show it gradually. So 3 times 0.
0.
0. So final 0.
Plus 4B.
I want to show it gradually. so that I'll not get. Now, for you to get the value of
B.
What will happen?
Make be the subject formula.
It can be 4B equal to what? 600.
Making be the subject of the formula.
Because 0 is nothing. Even when you move 0 to the other side of the equation, it will turn to minus 0, right? 600
Yes.
minus 0 is what? Is 0.
Almost 100.
So,
figure.
So it will now be what? 4B divided by 4 equal to 600 divided by 4. So the value of B will be what?
150.
When 4 cancel each other, you are left with just B. So 600 divided by 4. You have what?
150.
So I don't think there should be anybody in this class. I don't know what we've done now. But in case you don't know what we've done, you can just watch the video again. Now, for you to get the value of A, what will you do? For you to get the value of A,
600 divided by 3, 200.
So
substitute the value of B in the question.
Substitute B. Like 150.
Let's now let me go gradually again. Let me go gradually. Let me say this is want to know what A is, right? It will now be we've known B to be 150, right? Isn't it? We've known B to be 150.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We've known B to be 150. So what will happen there now?
Get the value of A when B is 150.
Yes.
You know, B will become 0.
When B is equal to 0.
Yes, B will become 0 here. Yes. B will become 0. Then this will be what?
600.
600. So the value of A will now be what?
200. 600 divided by 3.
Yes, you divide both sides by 300, by 3. You understand?
200.
So it will be 3A divided by what? 3 equal to what? 600 divided by 3. So A will now be what?
200.
So A will be equal to what? 200. So I'm just taking my time to show all these in this form so that nobody will tell me that they are not getting it. So in simple terms, if A is equal to 0, B is what?
Equals 150. When B equals 0.
If B is equal to 0, A is equal to what?
200.
This is for machining department. This is for machining department. Let's now move to what? Foundry department. Foundry department. Foundry department now. Foundry. You should be able to solve this now. So just change this to equal sign. If A is equal to 0, the value of B will be what? If A
175.
250.
B will be
250. B is equal to 250.
If B is 0, if B is equal to 0, A will be equal to what?
125.
125.
125. I've laid the foundation here. So instead of doing all this process, I'm not longer doing it. You should be able to determine that now. So now, the next department is what? Painting.
Paint department.
Painting. painting. So in painting department, when you change this to equal sign, if A is 0, B is equal to what?
144.
A is 0, B will be 144. If B is 0, A will be equal to
180.
180. So now, we are now going to have a graph. I don't have a pen to write on the whiteboard. So I don't have a pen to write on the whiteboard. So the point is this. We have to present this on a graph sheet. On a graph sheet. I have a graph, but you are going to, it's not correct. The slide where I have the correct one, I don't want to start looking for it now. So this is, you go and plot the graph. You plot the graph. So this is the A axis. This is the B axis. A axis, the B axis. At the point of intersection here, this is the origin, 0 here. So when you're trying to plot a graph, you graduate each of the region. You scale it in a way that suits the variables you have, the values of A and B's you have. Yes, you give it a scaling. Yes, somebody will ask, will they give what graph in the hall? If they have it, they will give. They don't have it, do what you can do in your answer sheet. So, looking at these variables now, for machining, when B is 150, A is what? 200. You come to your graph. At point A, when A is 150, what is B? You locate it. B is what? 200. Isn't it? I said this graph is not correct. So don't follow what you are seeing. You go and draw it. You go and scale it. You draw it again on your own. But when A is 200, you locate 200 on A. Then you locate 150 on B. Then you now connect the lines. You use your ruler. Don't use freehand sketching. Don't do freehand sketching. You know, some people don't know how to use rulers. Those days, some teachers, when you rule your margin anyhow, you stretch your hand and they beat you very well. So it teaches you how to use your ruler to do right alignment. So don't just use your free hand to draw any kind of graph. Last diet, some people were sending me some graphs that does not make sense. So you get a ruler. You rule very well. You make it neat. Make it neat. Yes. Make it neat. Don't say you don't like graph. You must like it. You cannot be an accountant and say you cannot interpret graph. Yes. You must like graph. So now, on the A region, you scale it. B region, you scale. So in machining department, when B is 150, A will be 200. You locate those points. You put star on each of the points. Then you now use your ruler to connect the line. Then for funding department, when A is 125, you locate 125 on A. 125. 125. When A is 125, B will be what? B is what? 250. You locate 250 on B. You put that asterisk. You put the asterisk. You now use your ruler and connect it. You draw a straight line across. It means you form a straight line for foundry department. You label it. You can give it F. You can see the way I've done F. When you rule for machine, you do same. Now for painting, when A is 180, you locate 180 on this region. When A is 180, what is B? B is 144. 144. So you now put an asterisk here. you connect the two lines using a ruler. Don't use your hand. If you don't have a ruler, go and buy mathematical sets. Yes, you see everything inside. So once you connect those two lines, you connect the two points together, you have a straight line representing the painting department. So this region here, bounded by these first regions of lines, is the visible region. So for you to know the contribution at this point, you need a solution table. The contribution at point A, you need a solution table. For you to know the contribution at point B, you need a solution table. For you to know the contribution at point C, you need a solution table. I think I have a solution table here. Yes, a solution table. How do you present your solution table? What is your contribution at the start? It's what? Our contribution is what?
6 and 5.
6A and 5B. So on each point, on point A, what is 150? What is the contribution there? On point B, what is the contribution there? Let me show the solution table now. Yes, this is a solution table. We have the contribution 6A plus 5B, right? Now, on each point on the graph, what would be your total contribution? On point A, when A is 125, B is 0. What is that point? This is it. You make it here. A, 125, and B is 0. What will be your contribution? That is at this point here, point A here. At point B is an intersection of two lines. Point B is an intersection of two lines, of two equations rather.
Your body is not moving, no. Am I the only one? Body.
You're the only one.
Not moving. The board is not moving.
It's your network.
He's moving away.
Likewise, mate. He's displaying the graph.
Okay, it's showing now. Thank you. Thank you.
So, point B is an intersection of two lines. What are those two lines? You must locate it. That is line F, right? And what? And P. That is foundry and painting department is the point of intersection here. So for you to get the contribution at point B, what will you do? See it here. You need to solve further. Yes, this is it. Foundry department, painting department. These two equations, you look for the value of A and B in these two equations. The foundry department, the equation is 2A plus B equal to 250. For painting, is 4A plus 5B equal to 720. So you need to determine the value of A and B in this equation. Now, for you to determine the value of A and B, we do a substitution method of simultaneous equation. Now, the question is this. Let me delete this for now. The question is this. What will you multiply by foundry by equation 1? Let me make this equation 1. Let me make this equation 2. What will you multiply by equation 1 that will enable you to eliminate A and just have only B? What will you multiply by equation 1 that will enable you to eliminate B? Equation 1 and 2. I'll make you to have the value of B to be 0 or the value of A to be 0. So how are we going to do that?
multiply both equations by the coefficient of A or the coefficient of B.
Yes, yes. You can multiply both equation by a coefficient. The coefficient, you can do it that way. Fine. And also, looking at these two equations, if I multiply equation 1 by 1, multiply equation 2 by 2, I should be able to eliminate B, right? Or A, isn't it? I should be able to eliminate A. That is, let me show you. Multiplying equation 1 by 2 and equation 2
by 1.
By 1.
2 by 1. So once you multiply, what will you have? Let's show it. Let's show it.
4A
F will be equal to 4A
plus B plus 2B
2B equal to what?
plus 500.
And P will be equal to what?
4A plus 5B.
Mute your mic,
5B.
princess. Mute your mic. You are disturbing the class.
So when you subtract these two equations, 720 minus 500, you have what?
220.
Or you say 4A minus
220, 220.
You have 0. Plus 5B minus 2B, you have what?
3B. 3B.
720 minus 500, you have what?
220.
220.
220.
So the value of B will be what?
220 divided by 3.
110. Sorry.
73.33.
73.33.
So you can now substitute B into any of the equation above to get the value of A. So we can substitute. Please, can somebody mute his or her mic? It's making causing a re-echo. So we can substitute the value of B into foundry. Let's see. F is equal to 2A plus what? 73.33. And to give us what? 250. The value of A will now be what? 2A equal to what? 250 minus what? 73.33. So we now have it as what? 2A equal to what?
176.67.
Okay, 176.67. Then when you divide both sides by A by 2, you have it as what?
335. Yes.
176.67. Sorry, the write-up is becoming tiny. Let me increase it. So you now have A to be what?
88.34.
Okay, 34. So this value of B and A is what you're going to use to determine the contribution at point B here. The two lines of intersection, they are equation. Using substitution method, you get the value of A and B. Then you, on your solution table, you substitute the value of A, 6 multiplied by the value of A. At that point of intersection, you have 88.34. When you multiply 6 by this, you have a value. At point B, what is the value of B in relation to the contribution is 73.33. When you multiply, you'll be able to have the total contribution at that point of intersection here, at the point of intersection here. So the two equations, the two lines that intersect, what are their equations? You pick them out, then you solve. Then you substitute the results of the values into these this point here, that is 6a. The value of a is what? Is 88.34 from the equation, 88.34. The value of b is what? Is 73.33 from the equation. So once you do this, you have the total contribution. So if you are asked, what is the total contribution at point B? Using your solution table, you can determine that. What will be your contribution at point C? At point C is what? At point C, when A is 0, what is B? When A is 0, what is B? So when A is 0 at point B here, see it's 150. A is 0, B is 150. When you substitute, the value of your contribution will be what? Your total contribution will be what? 6 multiplied by 0, 5 multiplied by what? 144. You know, we derive 144 when we solve at painting department. When A is 0, B is 144. B is 144. So 144, 5 multiplied by 144, you have a total contribution of 720. The essence of solution table is for you to determine the contribution at each point that surrounds the visible region. At each point, what is the contribution at point A here? What is the contribution at point B here? What is the contribution at point C here? And how do you determine this contribution at this point? Your first point of the solution, your objective function, is the determinant of that table. You bring it down and you have it this way: point 6a plus 5b. At point A, your contribution is what? When B is 0, what is A? A is 125. 6 multiplied by 125, you have 720. At point B is the point of intersection. For you to get the contribution at this point, the two lines that intersect, what are their equations? You solve using substitution method. You get the value of A and B, because this point of intersection, two A and B intersect, two lines intersect. So what is A? What is B? You substitute, you get your total contribution. At point C, when A is 0, what is B? B is 144. 5 multiplied by 144, you have 720. Then you use that to determine your total contribution. Now, in a question, because I'm going back to a question in the Pathfinder now, you go and solve. Yes. Now, in a question where you are asked to determine a constraint, and you are asked to plot a graph and determine the constraints, the lines of constraints. In this question, what are the lines of constraints? The lines of constraint, the point of constraint will be these lines here, this point of intersection B, this point of intersection B, this point here B, the point here C, the point here A. What are those lines? Foundry and painting. Because I'm going back to a question now in the Pathfinder. Let me go back there immediately. Yes, let me go back there. Let me go and share that question in the Pathfinder. Let's look for it. What is the question? Because you go and solve the question. Present this. Okay. Okay, hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What is this question? Oshimiri.
November 2023.
Okay, very good. November
Question
2020.
1.
Yes. And it was repeated in May 2025. November 2021. 2023, right?
Yeah, 2023.
Oshimiri. So you must solve questions and know where the things are, know their name. So where is Oshimiri? Okay, fine. Oshimiri. I'm there now. See it. Oshimiri is here. Question 1. See it. November 2023. November 2023. Oshimiri. Okay, where's the question saying? Oshimiri Nigeria Limited, a company based in Aba, produces 2 grades of industrial varnish. The selling price and associated unit variable cost for varnish grade A and grade B are shown below. Now we have particulars: grade A, grade B, selling price 2,100 for grade A, for grade B 1,500. Material, something is happening here. Can somebody tell me what is happening here? 240 naira per kg. You are now having 480. What is happening here? Somebody should speak, please. What is happening here?
I think the 480 is the total material.
Yes, Chikodili, I'm with you, ma.
No.
I mean, for us
Hello?
to get
Can I try?
the material per kg,
Yes.
it will be 480 divided by 240. It will be 2.
Very good. Very good. So that is the first step you must be able to determine that. 240 means how much you're spending to get 1 kg of material X. So, and you've now incurred overall 480. What is the quantity of material? It will be 2 kg, because 480 divided by 240 will be what? 2 kg. Now for grade B, you have 240. 240 divided by 240, it means per unit of grade B, to produce grade B, you need how many kg of material? You need 1 kg.
1 kg.
For skilled labor, you do same. 720 divided by 144, 288 divided by 144. In that order, you begin to solve. And you get your mark. And you do bye-bye to this course. Let's move further now. That fixed overhead costs are 2.6 per month. The company plans to maximize profits. Take note, it means after everything that you've solved, to get your contribution. Contribution minus fixed cost is what?
Profit for the year.
Fine. It means your total contribution that you will derive, if you want to get your profits, your contribution minus fixed cost will give you your profit. Now, the availability of resources for the following month is as follows. Material X, 25,000 kg. Skilled labor, 48,000 hours. Unskilled labor, 39,000 hours. Machine hours, 50,000 hours. It means all the resources are limited to these values, to this quantity, to these hours. The question is now asking us to do what? Identify the objective function and the constraints of the model to be used in determining the optimum production plan for the following months. Determine the optimum production plan for the month and the associated profit. Explain the concept and significance of dual prices, which is shadow pricing and slack variables in the context of model use by the company in this scenario. Calculate the dual prices for constraints identified in this scenario. suggests ways in which the management can overcome the capacity constraints identified above during the months and the cost implication. So the assignment is this. You solve for A. Go and solve for A. Solve for A. Yes. For B, I treated this question during the last revision class. For May, yes, I think so, yes. We treated this question, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll forward the video after you've attempted A. If you like, go and look at the Pathfinder and be copying the answer and send to me. If you like, go and send it on AI and let AI do it for you. You are the one that wants to pass this course. You should do the needful by putting your pen and reading and trying to solve it yourself. So don't go and just be sincere. And if you don't understand, communicate. We'll explain further. So go and solve for A. Go and solve for A. Based on our discussion of tonight, solve for A. I'll forward a video where I explain the slack and the dual prices. Then I think in our next class, if I'm free, I'll create a class during the week. Then we'll discuss the concept of dual prices and slack variables. But period to that time, I'm going to send a video. Watch it very well. Everything is well explained in that video. Yes, in that video. Watch it, try and understand. So if I have time, I'll schedule a class during the week again so that we can cover up. So that when next we'll be meeting, we'll look at another topic. Yes. So please try and attempt this question, especially the requirement A. If you can go further, after watching the video I'll forward, you can attempt C and D. Yes. But please be sincere to yourself. Solve it. If you like, send it to me. Let me see. If you like, don't send it. Yes. But just be sincere. You are the one that wants to write the exams. Work on yourself and you'll be fine. And you will pass. There's no any magic. So for those that have solved this question last night and they saw it again. So there should be no cause for, but there are various factors that contribute to exam success. Yes, you might have solved the questions and sometimes the conditions, the psychological states, mindset at that point might not make you to put things together. Yes, I understand that. But all is fine. Let's keep working till achieve the desired results. So thank you very much for your time. I'll communicate when next we meet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. God bless you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good night.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sister.
Thank you. God
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
I really appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you.